Good evening, everyone. Is my voice and the screen is visible and audible? Yes. Today our topic is object-oriented programming. So, object-oriented programming. So, let us check with the basics of the object-oriented programming. So, first of all, let us know what is object-oriented programming. So, as we discussed before, there are different types of languages like procedural programming language, structural programming language, functional programming language, logical programming language, and object-oriented programming language is there. So, in the same way, based on that, we are here discussing about the object-oriented programming. So, object-oriented programming is nothing but it is defined using objects. Everything we write, we give the instructions to the compiler or the interpreter. We will be providing it through objects, only through objects. So, whatever the programming we are defining it using objects, it is called as object-oriented programming. We can also call it in the short form as OOPS, which stands for object-oriented programming. So, object-oriented programming is the programming language that is defined using objects. Object-oriented programming is a type of programming paradigm. Paradigm is a type of programming structure, we can say. Paradigm defined using objects. It can also be referred as OOPS. So, object-oriented programming is a type of programming paradigm defined using objects. So, whatever the programming language, which is wherever we give the coding in the program in the form of objects, then we can say it as a object-oriented programming. So, this is fine. We are saying that using objects we have to, that's fine. So, what is an object? So, what is an object? What is an object? So, in the real scenario, we will be checking with the various examples are there. We have different objects. Every object we will be having like a chair is there, pen is there, okay, person is there. Let us take a person. Fine. Let us take a person. You mean to say a human being. Okay. So let us take it. So generally it represents as a person. That's fine. So every object will be having, before going to object, let us take a person is an object, and person is having some state and properties. State means he will be having some actions. Okay. For example, state and properties of a person are like you will be having the hair color is there, eye color will be there, skin color will be there, height will be there, weight will be there. In the same way, if you take a bike or any vehicle, it might be any motor vehicle, it will be having the color of the vehicle. Okay. So it will be having the speed of the vehicle, the mileage of the vehicle, okay, and type of fuel, the number of wheels, based on the, if it is two-wheeler, it will be having two-wheeler. So these are all these are the properties. But how about the actions? So when we come to the person, what actions he can perform? He eats, he sleeps, he drinks, he walks, he plays, etc. In the same way, if you take the vehicle, what will be the things it will be doing? it moves, okay, up to whatever it writes, it will be moving. And what all the actions, it gets loaded, how much weight it can take. It is better to go with the person, okay. It is very much easy for you people to understand. Let us take the person. So person can eat, sleep, all these actions. So object is nothing but which will represent his proper the object represents the properties and the state and behavior, okay, state and behavior. So it is an entity, we can say. Entity means it will have some properties and what all the actions it will do. So for example, if we take the table is having some properties. It will be have four legs, and it is a whether wooden or the plastic type of component it is having, and the size of the table, and the purpose what it is used for. Purpose is for action. What action it takes? It weighs the all the vessels or anything else on the table. For writing we can use, okay. For reading we can use the table. For placing some weight on it we can use it. So based on the actions and the state and behavior of the behavior is called of any entity is called the object. So here the entity is a, let us take a simple diagram. Let us take the diagram. So let us say this is a person. So it is having some, what we call it as, it is a entity. It is a entity. Yeah, entity. So what type of entity it is? It is person. Let us name it as a person. Fine. So it is having some stated behaviors. So state and behaviors are, what are the state and behaviors we can have? It can be have hair color, eye color, skin color, and still what else we can say? Height, weight, height, weight, etc. Okay, etc. So what are the actions we will speak? Actions are like sleeping, eating, playing, and you can say running, etc. So these are all actions. So these are actions. Actions. One is the actions and the other one is the state or behavior. Or we can say it as properties, state or behavior. So entity is nothing but the person, and this is the person, and this person is having both the, and you can say it as an object. Entity is nothing but it is an entity which is having the state or behavior and the actions. So let us have the brief discussion about definition about this. Object. An entity that has a state and behavior is called an object. An object. Here the state represents properties and behavior. Properties and behavior. State represents properties and behavior, represents actions and functionality. Okay. An entity that has a state and behavior is called an object. Here the state represents, it means the state represents the properties and behavior represents the actions. So example, we can say person, chair, pen, keyboard, etc. The state and properties of a person are hair color, eye color, skin color, height, weight, etc. The actions are eating, sleeping, drinking, walking, etc. So this is what we call it as an object. So an object is an entity that has a state and behavior, and the state represents the properties and behavior represents the actions and their functionality, we can say. So the state and behavior properties of a person are hair color, eye color, skin color, height, weight, etc. We can say. The actions are eating, sleeping, drinking, walking, etc. Okay. So this is what we can say briefly what an object is. Okay. So let us take a next comes the class. So what is a class? So we have learned what is an object. We know that what is an object. So what is a class? Okay, fine. So if you take an example of vehicle class is there. Okay. So in a vehicle class, you will be having different vehicle types are there. There is a bus is there, lorry is there, train is there. Okay. And many more are there. But all they do have the same properties and actions. Fine. Every class is every object for different vehicles I have told you. So all the vehicles, whatever vehicles you take, they will have the common properties like they will be having this common properties. Either you take the bus, lorry, or car, or a van, or a bicycle, it may be. So it might be that is different. Again, we have classified it with fuel vehicles and non-fuel vehicles. That is different. But vehicles are all meant for the single purpose, solo purpose. The common things which will be having is they will have wheels. Wheels are common. motor is common, and the fuel is common, the type of fuel. Okay, so in such a way it will be having the common properties will be there. So then we will say here, instead of having all the different objects like bus object is there, lorry object is there, car object, all together we will say it as a vehicle class. Okay, so if we come to real time existence, there is a first class first standard will be there, second standard will be there, third standard will be there. All the students belong to the different classes, different standards they will be there, but they will be having the common features like uniform will be the common thing. Okay, the rules will be the common thing for them, and textbooks will be there. That is different. Each section will have its own textbooks, but it's not the thing. Each standard will be having their own textbooks, but the textbooks are common. Like we can say notebooks are common, books are common. Okay, books are common, uniform is common, the timings are common, school timings are common, teachers are common. Okay, so principal is common. So altogether what we can specify it as, we can specify it as a school class. Okay, so a class is a, it is a user defined data type. It means it is a school type. Uniform is a school type. Okay, teachers are of school type. So every school will be having these properties. So it is a user defined data type or a template of an object. Template in the sense, in a common view, it is, there will be common things. For example, you are writing a letter, leave letter will be there. There will be a common format for the leave letter. That is a template. A ready-made will be there, everything. But the only thing what we change is there is the student name will be changed, the class name will be changed, but the leave letter will be common for everything. The cause will be changing. So everything the template, dear sir or madam, I am so and so. That is the different. So each object will be having its own properties. So in such a way, based on, we can say it as a template, the ready-made thing, a common message we want to send to all the people in the class. I am sending now. For all the people, I am sending the common template. Dear student, dear aspirant. But the content will be different. Okay. So that is the template we can say, a ready-made thing. So in same way, class is nothing but it is a user-defined data type or template of an object. It represents the common properties of an object. So that's what I told you. If you take the vehicle class, it will be having the common properties related to the vehicle. If you take the furniture class, it will be having, in the furniture class, you can have different objects. You can have a chair, you can have table, cot, right? Still anything else. So different objects will be there in the same class. So class is a user defined data type or a template of an object. Okay, it represents the common properties of an object. So one more thing, object takes memory, object takes space in memory, but class does not take space in memory. So for example, a room is there. In a room we want to place all the furniture related things. Okay, in a house, so furniture related things, overall we can say furniture we need. That's fine, it is a class of furniture. So what is the furniture, what type of objects we need? We need, in the furniture we need different objects like chair, table, okay, sofa is there, cot is there. So when we get those objects over there, only then it occupies the space. Before getting those objects, we don't, it doesn't occupy any space. So objects occupy the space, but class does not occupy any space. In the same way, objects in the memory, even in the computer also, object in the object oriented programming language, where objects doesn't only take the memory, but classes does not occupy any type of memory. So objects exist physically, class exists only virtually. It means it does not occupy any space, it doesn't have any physical existence. Okay, class, it is a user defined data type or a template of an object. of an object. It represents the common properties of the object, or we can say of an object, of an object. So example, bus, lorry, car, train, flight, etc. belong to vehicle class. And let us take another example. Chair, cot, table, sofa, etc. belong to what type of class it is? It is the furniture class. It is the furniture class. It is the furniture class. One more thing is that object takes space in memory. Space in memory. But class does not occupy any space in memory. Object exists physically and class does not exist physically. Okay, this is what we can say object is all about. Okay, so object takes space in memory, but class does not occupy any space. Okay, so let us revise once more. Object-oriented programming is a type of programming paradigm defined using objects. So it is nothing but in a general way in the interview also, this concept is very much important for the interview. They will be asking, okay, they will be just asking you the what is object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming is a type of programming paradigm defined using objects. Whichever the programming language that is defined using objects, it is called the object-oriented programming. We can also refer it as OOPS. Okay. So for that, what we can take, you just better take an example of, let us take an entity of a person. You will be having the state or behavior like common properties and the actions will be there. The hair color, eye color, skin color, height, whichever the person might be, whatever the name. If you take the student class as an entity, then he will be having the same features, right? Hair color, eye color, skin color, height, and what all the things he will be doing, actions. Reading is there, writing is there, listening is there, speaking is there, playing is there. These are the actions. So this is what we can say. And with the behavior, you can say when you fill up the application for the student, you will be having the common things like name, father's name, date of birth, okay, and school name, date of joining. All these are the common properties. Okay. So in the same way, the object. So next is object. So object is nothing but an entity that has a state and behavior. Okay. State and if any object is that an entity which is having state and behavior is called object. The state represents the properties and behavior represents the actions. How it behavior is nothing but how we behave. Those are the actions, right? So that is the thing. And the example is like person, chair, pen, keyboards, mouse, etc. Okay. And state and properties of a person are hair color, eye color, skin color, height, weight, and the actions are like sleeping, eating, drinking, writing, reading, playing, etc. And class is that it is a user defined data type or a template of an object. Why do we say template of an object? It is having the common properties of an object. So if we take a objects like bus object, car, lorry object, car object, train, flight, etc., they all belong to the same class. That is a vehicle class. If you people have the driving license, you will be having the in the license, it will be a class will be there, vehicle type, vehicle class. So they will be giving it as a four-wheeler, two-wheeler in the same way. So altogether it is a vehicle class. Okay. In the same way, the furniture classes we are having chair, cot, table, sofa, sofa. So all these are the furniture class. And object takes space in memory. It takes space in memory. But class does not occupy any space in the memory. So once again, I'm telling you, object-oriented programming in the real time it is nothing but if you take an example of furniture, the furniture class is there. Real time of object-oriented programming in the sense you will be writing some program to enter the details of the student, of a student. So you will be entering the details of the student. So when you are entering the details of the student, student is a class here. Treat it as a student. So what is the object? There are different students: Ramu, Somu, Ravi, okay, Rajesh, Ramesh. So all these people are separately there can be specified as an object. Okay. So student is a class and Ramu is one object, Ravi is one object, Rajesh is one object, Ramesh is one object. But all these four people, let us take example of four people. These four people are having the common properties like name. Name is common for everyone, right? Their behaviors, how they perform in the exams, the marks, subjects are common thing, marks are common thing, okay? But their behavior, these are the common things, we can say. But when we enter into the specific properties will be there in depth. When it comes to marks, all the persons will be, Ramesh will be performing in one way if he gets some better marks, and another person may get less marks. So this is what the classes will be different. But the student class is having the objects like all these people. Okay. I think you got it, right? Hope you got it. This is the real example we can say. So the real-time example, you can say it as a student. Even if you take the employee also in the office, employee is a department is the class, and employee name, employee salary, all these are different. Okay. Okay. Yes. So next, every object-oriented programming is having some certain principles. If we satisfies those principles, if those principles are used in the programming, then only we can say it as a object-oriented programming. Then only we can say it as a object-oriented programming. So what are those principles? So the first one is the abstraction is there. Okay. Abstraction. Encapsulation is the second one. And the third one is the inheritance. And the fourth one is the polymorphism. We can say there are four principles. It is also important for the interview. It is also very much important to the interview. Principles of object-oriented programming. Principles of object-oriented programming. So the first one is the abstraction. Abstraction. So let us take the object called car is there. In the vehicle class, we are having the object called car is there. So car will be having various things in it, right? It will be having chairs will be there, steering will be there, gear system will be there, okay, and engine will be there. It will be having tires, and all this together, we are saying it as a car. So it means, let us take TV. Television is there. We don't know what the TV will be having. Altogether, we will be saying it is a TV. So a person is there. Person is there. A person will be having the name will be there. What all the skills he is having, he will be those will be. So altogether, we will say only a person. So we don't specify the properties or anything else. All the data. Okay. So we can say abstraction is it is a process of hiding unnecessary data from the user and exposing only the essential data required to the user. It means you just hide the unnecessary data from the user. Abstraction is, it is a process of, it is not visible to his eyes. Okay. A person who sees the car, he can say just it is a car on watching it, on seeing it, that's all. Okay, on TV. Internally, if you take a television, we don't know internally what the chips or microprocessors are there inside it. But that is called the abstraction. Externally, it will be visible as a TV, but internally it works with various components. So those components will not be exposed to the user. It is not necessary for us, right? What we need a remote and a television we need. So external thing is the remote and the thing. So internally, how it works and all this, it is not necessary for us. So abstraction is nothing but it is a process of hiding unnecessary data from the user and exposing only essential data required to the user. It permits to use an object without knowing the internal details. That's what I told you. A television can be used by us. We use the remote control and TV, but we don't look into the things, what all the components are there within the TV. If you take a TV as a class, TV is an object. We don't check into the things, what all the things are happening. So this is what we call an abstraction. Okay, abstraction is, it is a process of hiding the unnecessary data from the user and exposing only essential data to the user. It permits to use an object. We can use that object without knowing the internal details. We don't need the internal details, right, to use the TV or anything else. TV, it might be a clock, or if a mobile is there, we don't need how it, you only the external thing, we know that it will be having some, if you take the touch screen, there will be a touch screen will be there, touchpad will be there, we'll be just touching it and make use of the mobile phone. In the same way, abstraction is, it is a process of hiding unnecessary data from the user and exposing only the essential data required by the user. It is a process of hiding unnecessary data from the user, and exposing only the essential data required to the user. It permits to use the object without knowing the internal details of an object, right? It permits to use an object, but we don't need the internal details on object. That is called the abstraction. Okay. For example, we know that TV displays image with sound. We know to operate TV. But we don't know the internal function of TV. So this is what we can say abstraction. Okay. So abstraction is nothing but it is a process of hiding unnecessary data from the user and exposing only the essential data required to the user. It permits to use the object without knowing the internal details of an object. We don't need any internal details. Just we can operate the TV. For example, if we know the TV, it displays the image with sound, that we know. But how the image is displayed on the TV and how the sound is, we can listen to the sound uh, along with the image, that we don't know internally what happens, how the signals are coming. All these things are not necessary for us to make use of TV, right? So this is what we can call it as an abstraction. Next is the encapsulation. Encapsulation. So in the real life, let us take an example of real life. We enter into the school. From outside, we can every class will be visible for us. Not every class. If we just turn on to towards the school building, a class will be visible. But the students inside the class, they are not visible. It means every student is encapsulated within the classroom. It means they are binded together. All the students are binded together. Another example is, let us take the capsules. It will be having various small substances inside it, which cures the disease. Fine. So they will be all together. We don't know. They will be binded together. So together they will be into a single unit. One unit of a class. It will be having board will be there. Different components are there. Just for example, I'm telling you in the real life, a class will be having the board will be there, table will be there, teacher will be there, desks will be there, school bags will be there, students will be there, and all together they are into a single unit. That's why we call it as, if it is a 10th class, we say it as a 10th class students. So all together they are binded into the single unit. So wherever we go, the 10th class children, students, where they go, they enter into the 10th class. So it is a single unit. Okay. For example, if there is a tablet is there, a capsule, it will be having the various components. If you take the like example, Saridon is there, it will be having the components related to reduce the headache will be there, and the cold will be there. So altogether those components, but for us it will be look like it looks like only a single unit. One tablet, it works for three things. That is what we can say it is encapsulated. So here in the point of object oriented, okay, the data and the functionality together, they will be into a single unit. It is called encapsulation. Okay, the data and the functionality and its functionality. Data is nothing but, if you take a person entity, the data is like name, father name, date of birth, and all this together, and the corresponding functionalities in what, if you take a student, better take a student entity, his name, father name, class name, and all this together. And at the same time, what does he do? Actions, whether he participates in the playing or the elocution or the essay writing and all this together will be into a single unit. It is a functionality, whatever the student does. Each student will make his own functionality. Some may participate in the elocutions and some may participate in the games, in playing. And all this together into a single unit is called encapsulation. So encapsulation is the process of data and corresponding functions together into a single unit. It means the process of data and corresponding functions together into a single unit is called encapsulation. By this, we can maintain the data security. Okay, data is secured because of encapsulation. Object-oriented programming is able to provide security to the data. Encapsulation is helpful in achieving the data security. It hides and protects the data from outside non-member functions. It means a class, in a real life example, a 10th class student can only go and sit in the 10th class only. He cannot go and sit in the 9th class. So it is encapsulated. Okay. So in the same way, the data which is inside because of encapsulation, it is in one class, in one object. It cannot be, the outside members cannot enter into the, other objects cannot enter into the encapsulated object. External functionalities, external non-member functions, only the member functions can gather the data information from the encapsulated data, but non-members cannot get the data. So that's why you can say encapsulation is it provides the data security in such a way. Okay. Let us define it. Encapsulation. The process of data and corresponding functions together into a single unit. Is called encapsulation. It is called the encapsulation. Encapsulation hides and protects the data from the external non-member functions of a class. So the external functions cannot get the information within which is encapsulated. The encapsulated data can never be available for the external functions. Only the functions defined in a class will have access to the data. This is what we call it as a encapsulation. So next is the inheritance. You know, in the inheritance, we know the properties, the features of a father will be genetically, we will be having the features of our parents. Okay. In the same way, in the object-oriented programming also, we will be having the inheritance. So one class will be having the same properties as its parent class, we can say. Okay. So one class to another class, all the properties of one class will be acquired by another class. So for example, just now we told vehicle class is there, and vehicle class will be having some properties, the common properties. they can be acquired by the, if we want to create a bus class, because even the bus class is also having various different objects. You will be having the AC, non-AC, okay, 32 seater will be there, some will be there at the 48 seater. In that way, they will have the common properties. Okay. So an ability to acquire the properties of one class to another class is called inheritance. Here the data can be used, data and functions. What all the data and functions are there, they can be used by functions of one class. The data and the functions of one class can be used by another class. In what way? Using the inheritance. It means the code can be reused. You don't need to write against the same code. Bus is there, car is there, the common properties will be there. So suppose a shape is there, shape class is there. Shape in the sense, different shapes are like rectangle is there, square is there, polygon is there. So these will be having the common things, like length will be there. So for that length, again, you don't need to define every time within the class. In the future, I will let you know how to define all these things. Just have a brief idea about these things. So they will be asking in the interview, what are the principles of object-oriented programming? So once they ask you, you should be able to answer all these four are there: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. It is very, very, very important. Out of 10 interviews, at least you will be getting this question. In at least, in the worst cases, I can promise you that you will be getting for in 7 interviews. Okay. Mainly, if you people are freshers, definitely you will be posed this question. Okay. So inheritance is that an ability to acquire the properties of one class to another class is called inheritance. Data and functions of one class can be used by another class using inheritance. So it makes code reusable. Along with that, you can add new features also wherever necessary. Okay. So polygons are there. Polygon shape is there. So you can use polygon for rectangle and triangle, right? Even for square also. So in such a way. So let us define what is inheritance. An ability to acquire the properties of one class to another class is called inheritance. Data and functions are available. Data and functions of one class are available to the data and functions of one class are available to be used by another class. Code reusability is possible. New features can also be added. Okay. So for example, let us take an example like polygon represents several shapes. We can make two distinct with two different sorts of polygon. Rectangle and triangle. Rectangle and triangle. So there are different types of inheritance. There are different types, and there are 5 types. 5 types of inheritance. Like one is the single inheritance. Let me explain you. The first one is the single inheritance. Single inheritance. Single inheritance. In single inheritance, what we do? So, for example, let us take just we shall make a diagrammatic representation for single inheritance. So here what happens is what all the properties are with A, they will be used by the B. This is called the single inheritance. Only A is here, no other classes. Let us take it as A and this is the B. So vehicle is there and the car will be having all the properties from the, let us take B as a car. So car class can acquire all the properties of class A, and it can even add. In the same way here, B is Bx in the single inheritance, B is having all the properties of one class. That's what we told in inheritance, an ability to acquire the properties of one class to another class. So all the properties of A are acquired by B. Here it is acquiring the properties only from single class, from class A only. B is acquiring the properties of class A. This is called single inheritance. So next, let us take it as a multiple inheritance. Second one, multiple inheritance. In multiple inheritance, there will be two classes. So let us take it as A, and another one let us take it as so B, and let us take another as C. C. So here A is one class and B is another class. B is another class, and here C is another class. So here C acquires the properties of A and even the properties of B. So this is what we can say it as a multiple inheritance. So when a class acquires the properties of different classes, then we can say A, C. You can say multiple inheritance. For example, if you have the child is there, he will be having the features of both father and mother. So we can say it as a multiple inheritance. Some children will be having all the properties of either father or mother only. Then we can say it as a single inheritance. Generally, it doesn't happen with the single inheritance in the people. It happens with the multiple inheritance. Okay. So this is multiple inheritance. When the properties of two classes are acquired by one class, it is called multiple inheritance. Next is the multi-level. Multi-level. Multi-level inheritance. So multi-level inheritance is nothing but First of all, at first there will be a class. A is there. And next another two classes are there. B is there. And another class called C is there. C. And here another D is there. Okay. D is there. So here A is one class, B is one class, and C is also one class. So here A and C are having the acquire the A and C acquire the properties of B and C will be acquiring the properties of class A, and D will be acquiring the properties of B and C, multi-level. So this is level 1, and here again level 2. Level 1 and level 2. So D is acquiring the properties of class B and class C. This is called, we can say, multi-level inheritance. It is called multi-level inheritance. So the first one is the single inheritance, and the second is the multiple inheritance, and the third is the multi-level. And next is the hierarchical inheritance. Just a second, guys. This is not multi-level. Sorry, guys. This is not multi-level. I missed it. Here A is there, and again here B is there. B class is there. And next is the C class is there. Here what happens is all the properties of A will be acquired by the class B, and again the C will be acquiring the properties of class B. This is called the multi-level. Sorry, guys. A bit confusion, okay? So this is the multi-level. So in the level 1, B is having, okay? Yeah, it is the multi-level inheritance. Okay. And next is the the fourth one is the hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance. In the hierarchical inheritance, suppose a class A is there, and different classes will acquire all the properties of the class A. So let us define it diagrammatically. So hierarchical is nothing but class A is there, class B, class C, and class D. So class A is there, class B is there, class C is there, and class D is there. Okay. So all the three classes are acquiring from the same class. Same class from A. This is called, we call it as a hierarchical inheritance. So different classes will be acquiring from the same class. Okay, this is what we call it as a hierarchical inheritance. And next is the hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance. In hybrid inheritance, A is there, and again here B is there, and again here C is there, D is there. Okay. So class A properties will be occupied by the class B and class C. And class D will be acquiring the properties of C and D. This is what we call it as hybrid inheritance. Okay. So this is what we call it as hybrid inheritance. So A properties are acquired by the B and C, and again B and C properties are acquired by the class D. So this is what we call it as a hybrid inheritance. Next principle is the after inheritance we are having polymorphism. Polymorphism. So for example, let us take morphism. Morphing means you will be having more than the same form, the same type, copy. Poly means many. Polymorphism means which takes more than one form. So whenever the data is processed in more than one form, we can call it as a polymorphism. Okay. So for example, in the real life, if we take a employee is there, or let us take a better example. Okay. A woman is there. She can perform the duties as a wife, as a mother. Okay. She might be an employee, and she is a daughter of her parents. So here four forms are there with the same woman. Woman can perform at the same time. If it is a joint family, she can be a mother to her children. She can be a wife to her husband. She can be an employee wherever she is working. At the same time, she can be a daughter, and she can be a daughter-in-law. Okay. So this is the many forms. Okay. Where one form, only a single entity can perform more than one form. It is a real life example. So in the concept of object oriented programming, it is that we can process the data in more than one form. That is called polymorphism. So polymorphism is that it is an ability of any data, ability to process any data to take more than one form. We can process the data in more than one form. And ability to process any data in more than one form is called polymorphism. Okay. So the parent class will be having some, in inheritance we will be inheriting, suppose some addition of, in class A some addition has taken place, addition functionality is there. So the same thing can be performed by the in different form. So the same class variables, the A and B values which we have given, 2 and 3 are there. Those can be used for even for the subtraction also. It can be used for the multiplication, and it can be used for the, so the data can be used for in different forms. That is what we call it as a polymorphism. Okay. So polymorphism is the, it is the ability to process the data in more than one form. It is the ability to process the data in more than one form. What do we call the polymorphism? And it is known as polymorphism. Okay. Example, a woman can be a wife, a mother, a daughter, an employee at the same time. This is what we call it as a polymorphism. But she will be changing as per the, her role changes as per the situation and conditions. Okay. So this is what we call it as polymorphism. So these are the principles of object-oriented programming. The first one is the abstraction, and second one is the encapsulation, and third is the inheritance, and then the polymorphism. So now let us check what are the advantages of OOPS. Advantages of object-oriented programming. The first one, security. So security, how we are providing? Encapsulation, that's what you told. When encapsulating the thing, the external function members cannot, non-class members cannot access the data. So it can be achieved by encapsulation. And the second one, reusability. Reusability is achieved by inheritance. Achieved by inheritance. Effective communication will be there. Effective communication in the sense, one class can talk to each other. So it can be achieved by message passing. It is by message passing. And the fourth one is message passing in the sense, the object will be having some features, another object will be having a class will be having the features, and what all the properties are achieved by one class will be acquired by another. You can say it through inheritance also. Okay. So complexity decrease in develop complex software. Okay. And the fifth one is you can easily upgrade. Can easily upgrade the software. Easy partition of work. Easy partition of work. Easy to maintain. Easy to maintain. and efficiencies can have efficient software. These are the advantages. So security, reusability, effective communication, can develop complex software, and we can achieve, can be upgrade the software easily, and we can have the partition of work, and it is very much easy to maintain, and it is very efficient to develop the software. Efficient software can be developed. Okay. So these are the basics of object-oriented programming. Okay. So now let us have the Java installation on your systems. Just I will be providing you the links for the Java installation. You please, I am providing it in the chat application. You please download it. You please download it. You please download that. You just go to that link and download the software. I will tell you which one to download. I will show you which one to download. Please open the, I am providing the link for you. Another link also in your browser, how to install it on Windows. I hope everyone is having Windows, right? Okay. Yeah. If you have already the Java installed on your system, you just check with the Java version. If you go to the command prompt and just have the Java space hyphen version, and if you have Java 17, that's fine, because we'll be working on Java 17. So there is a installer is here. Let us go to the Windows. In the Windows, just check with the Windows. If you go to the previous that, just go to the Windows. Linux, Mac OS, Mac is there and Windows is there. You just prefer Windows if you are having Windows. If you are Mac, you can go with the Mac. Okay. In Windows, you will be having some installer is there, .exe file. You just download this. Download it. And please do all the things whatever he has asked you to do. Okay. These are the steps to be done. Everything. Each and everything. And this is how Java is installed. Okay. And I'm providing you another link also. This is the Eclipse. You just download the latest Eclipse. After the installation of Java and configuring, go for the Eclipse. Just copy it in your notepad. Guys, you please copy the same thing in your notepad. And the fourth link is all about the how to install Eclipse.